Okay, so this is my reflection for these past 2 weeks about the question, how do I view those I teach? I think it's important that we see our students through the eyes of God, that we need to show our students respect, that we cannot put ourselves on this pedestal of because we have more education than them, that they are inferior to us, that we really need to get down on their level so that they can know that we respect them and that we can earn each other's trust. And they must also see that we are ourselves learning, that we don't have all of the answers. And while we are doing all this, we need to remember and constantly remind ourselves that the Master loves everyone. That Jesus Christ, he took time to teach and to love and to see everyone as God sees them and as God sees us. And so, reflecting on my questions, I asked, how can I help my students to emerge out of their own caves? How can I use parables and symbols to provide my students with perspective? And how can I help them overcome their struggles when they don't understand something? And so I really took it upon myself to think more in depth about the third question, because I think all too often students are scared and are uncomfortable about asking questions about those concepts that they don't understand, because maybe 3/4 of the class understands those concepts already and they're ready to move on, but they're worried about looking foolish or being teased by those that may understand those concepts better. And so I think as teachers, it's really important that we recognize the gap in knowledge and that we look to the example of the teachers at the Dorchester Center. And this is from the Clark and Brown reading that we were given. Because the leaders of this school took it upon themselves to teach the students new skills. They asked the students to come up with questions, and I really love this quote that says, the first night at the Liberty County Center, we would always ask the people to tell the needs of the people in their community. The first night, they gave us their input, and the next morning we started teaching from what they wanted to do. Considering that these people were living in a time of great segregation and slavery, they were deprived of basic learning, and they needed to acquire skills so that they could thrive in their communities. And so, going along with that, Vanessa and I had a good conversation this week, and she suggested allowing our students to learn through different perspectives. Because there is no one way of learning things. We need to be mindful of all areas of the spectrum, and we need to get a broad view. And I really took to heart what Plato said when he said, whereas our argument shows that the power and capacity of learning exists in the soul already, and that just as the eye was unable to turn from darkness to light without the whole body, so too the instrument of knowledge can only by the movement of the whole soul be turned from the world of becoming into that of being, and learn by degrees to endure the sight of being, and of the brightest and best of our being, or in other words, of the good. So our students have the capacity to learn. It's just recognizing that it's going to be a gradual process. They're not going to learn these concepts all at once, and that we can't force them to do so. And so that's what I learned this week.